Give me my bottle, man. What to do when the person you love doesn't love you back. I'm gonna be mainly focusing on romantic love for this video, but also touching on friendship love, familial love, non-romantic love, basically. So, loving someone who doesn't love you back, we've all been in this situation, let's be for real. We've all been completely in love with someone who just doesn't feel the same way. While we're having all these fantasies in our head, imagining, oh shit, like our honeymoon, our fucking wedding. We're imagining us going on dates, holding hands with this person, being in all these romantic scenarios. On the other hand, you have the other person who wouldn't have a clue, who wouldn't in a million years even have those same scenarios in their head, and who may see you in a completely different capacity. They might see you as someone they really care about, but they don't feel the same way. They might see you as a friend, just like an ordinary friend, or they might feel indifferent towards you. They might fucking hate you. But it's this massive contrast between what you think about this person and how you feel towards them versus how they feel about you. And myself personally, I can relate to this situation at least twice. I think throughout most of my life, most of the girls that I've been interested in have shared that interest. I've also found myself in situations where I was completely obsessed with a girl, like in love with them, and in one of those situations, it was a case where I think she did see me positively, but like my level of interest was like all the way here, and her level of interest was like, or at least in terms of like the way we thought, like I feel like and did not really register, still somebody else. And that can manifest itself in some pretty way. It can be cute to have like, to have these feelings for someone, and do these things for them, but it can problem, especially if that person that knows that you have feelings for them, and then they're not as much of a good person. Advantage of that, they might use your liking of them in order to get favors, in order for you to do things for them. And yeah, if you just end yourself for one person just because you like them and they know that can be, a not so nice scenario to be in. Say I've necessarily been in but I have seen scenarios from my friends. Again, we've all been in this, obsessed with someone who doesn't really care that much about us, and those are the key things I want to touch on, or that's one of the key things I want to touch on, is this thing of obsession. I think say that you're truly in love with someone or not in a relationship with them. You can, for sure, same way you love your friends, consider a love you have for someone outside of a relationship to you being in love with them, because it's hard for me to have ever been in love with somebody, because I had like this all-consuming, love or obsession with somebody. It's always been a relationship. All the more, I guess, equal relationships that I've had, I can't really say, I still have love for all those girls. I wish them the best, but we say that I don't know if I'd consider that love. I'm only, so can't, I'm not right ability of, finding love at all, but most of those relationships were in my teens. It's hard for me to consider really that love, at least in my opinion, because kids, and also, again, those relationships where I did feel this consuming love, it's been outside a relationship. I haven't dated that person, and being in love with the potential of that person rather than that actual person, because you don't know what it's like to be in a relationship, know what it's like to have them as your boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. So I think it's hard to really consider that something that's becoming more prevalent, this idea of the person you didn't date almost leaving like the person you did date, just because you have the context of what it was like dating the person you did date and see what that relationship, but is potential, and potential is infinite, it's limitless. We can never really know where it's going to take us, are endless. And I do love that about can also mess with our heads, because we're always left thinking, oh, what if I did date that best relationship, and we're left wondering. So video, a lot on this topic for sure. But what do I think you should do if you love someone and you're not, if they love you back? I think romantically, the key is, I used to think that the best course of action was to always tell that person how you feel 100% of the time, no matter what, that you owe it to yourself to give yourself that chance and see how they feel. They might say no, they might say yeah. At least you can know where you stand, and you know life. And I still do think in like 95% of situations, you do have feelings for someone, that you should just tell them. Especially if you don't, they feel the same way, because again, you never know. And ever ask yourself is what if, as we were just touching on. So I think if you're unsure if the person you love loves you back, I think you should just tell them. I think obvious of a connection you have with a person, the easier this becomes. Like, like I was saying, I think obviously it's easier if you're not as connected with the person. It's just, you know, somebody you don't really speak to that often. You're obviously losing out on less by, telling that person your feelings. But what if this person is someone who's really close to you, who, like one of your really good friends, you just have a close relationship with, or someone who you share the same friendship circle in? I think that's where it starts to get more complicated. But I still 95% of the time should just tell that person, even if you think you're gonna miss out on that relationship. I think most times that you have feelings for them, and then in space for a little bit. Like, it might just be like, okay, I feel like we need some distance for like a little while just so I can get over you, but really focus on getting over, because staying friends with someone in the hopes that that's just some of the worst torture yourself through. So I would really recommend that, to avoid that as much as to really, as soon as you get that rejection, I'm gonna do everything I can to move on from this person. Again, even if that requires some distance or in the relationship in the long run, and then once I'm over this person, we'll convene. But I think that's definitely the point of action. And if they don't want to be friends after you say that, which again, I feel like if the person's really happened, then and know that at least you tried. This didn't work out, and you gave yourself a chance of being happy and getting what you want, instead of constantly wondering, oh snap, what if I had actually come to that person about my feelings? And I have felt that whenever I've told my feelings to someone, and for the most part they either reciprocated, and then it's after that, or they rejected. I was cool enough to be like, yeah, like, let's just be friends, and then we kept moving forward, and then I'm still on good terms with like 90% of the girls that I've had in the past, or who I've had some kind of romance with. So most of it hasn't worked. I've been able to maintain positive relationships with them, but I think part of that was always, I was able to if things ever didn't work out, I was able to move on. But yeah, I think like it really just almost always is worth it to just tell that person how you feel, to give yourself that chance of what you want. And if it doesn't work out, then just have to accept it. And again, most times the person will they'll be like, okay, yeah, we can still be friends, and then you won't really miss out on the relationship, and you'll know like, okay, the situation didn't work out, at least I gave myself a chance to see if this was possible. Yeah, but I think if you know the other person like doesn't feel the same way, you should just focus on moving on from that person as much as possible. Really, I think good to express, but I think it's good to just express your feelings to that person if you have a person, just so that again you can give yourself that chance of seeing, okay, this is you just give yourself a chance of saying like, what if like at least I tried. Definitely, as soon as someone tells you no, you accept that and you move on with your life. Don't waste time trying to convince that other person why you don't spend your time still see day we're gonna get together. Like, no, for their sake and yourself, bro. Again, you might be waiting for a day that might never come, and again, that is the souls of people. So you can to any kind of relationship, to a friendship, to a familial relationship, non-romantic relationship, I think the key is always to express your love. From my perspective, I never want a relationship because I feel like I personally, not with somebody enough, I never want to feel like, or relationally feel like I didn't show that I cared about that person. I didn't show that I love them, I appreciate them. I would never want that to happen. So, if it was a friendship, if it was, non-romantic, familial, I would express how much about that person, see what they say, and then okay, move on. You didn't need that person anyway. They'll just be like, oh, okay, like I'm way, and then you move on. You should really focus on pouring energy into people who pour in energy to you, just because that's the quickest way to not waste your energy, not waste your fucking mental capacity worrying about people who don't really care that much about you. Yeah. Just tell them, just let them know, bro. Just never let yourself, always give yourself a chance to succeed and get what you want. Never let yourself be manipulated by somebody else into doing things for them, doing favors for them just because you love them. Always express how much you love somebody, but always yourself too. It's really hard to have self-love, and I'll video about this, but just always keep in mind that you have to how much you love that other person, but always have the self-respect of yourself to never do dirty just to you love happy. So it's definitely getting very noisy outside, so I'll cut this video off here. Might make these are just kind of like my thoughts about it that I want to express to you guys. So yeah, see you guys tomorrow for the next video. Peace.